Hi everyone. We're already halfway through the regular season, and all in all I think it's been pretty competitive. I have a couple things I wanted to touch on at this point. I did not designate someone to decide whether or not a trade I am involved in is fair, since typically I decide. Everyone will be divided into 3 groups that will take turns with each trade I am involved in. The groups will be: Group A, Nick, Dan, Matt. Group B, Miguel, Brandon, John. Group C, Jeff, Danny, Mike. The rotation will go in order, beginning with Group A. If the person I am making a trade with is in the group whose turn it is, then the next group in sequence will decide. I don't care how you do it, but one of the people from the group will have to let me know if the trade is approved within 2 days of the acceptance. There has been some concern over how trades should be viewed. Since this is a keeper league, it will be a little different than other leagues we have played in, since some people may want to prepare for next year. With that being said, I don't feel someone should be able to benefit drastically because someone else feels their team is out of it. If I don't feel the trade is fair to the rest of the league, I will veto it. I will also veto a trade where I feel collusion may be involved, for example, someone doing a deal because the other person promised them a portion of their potential prize money. Of course, this would be hard to determine, so I will use my best judgment based on the fairness of the trade. I do want to emphasize that I will not veto a trade just because I feel one side got the better end. This will probably always be the case, or because it hurts my chances, but if and only if I feel it isn't fair to the rest of the league. And remember, I will email the whole league to ask everyone to weigh in directly to me or to the group that is deciding my trade to give their thoughts and concerns about any trade. Lastly, I want to remind everyone how the draft order will work for next year. First pick of every round. Non-playoff team who scores the most points in weeks 11 to 14, second pick of every round. Non-playoff team who scores the second most points in weeks 11 to 14, so stay competitive. Good luck. Ron.
Hello all, the only reason this email is being sent is because I have been all over Ron for vetoing 2 trades of mine. Situation: I have been trying to trade Jimmy Graham and AJ Green for a number 1 running back. I am 2 to 5. I want to get another number 1 running back so I can start next year with 2 stud running backs. Yes, it is a move for the future. Yes, someone could benefit now. Point 1. Ron should not be deciding solely on trades. Bottom line, no one should be solely deciding trades, but when Ron trades, 3 people decide. Trading is part of fantasy football. Planning in a keeper league is part of fantasy football, which means taking a step back 1 year to be better for 2 to 3 years. Point 2. Ron should not be telling anyone how to run a team. I have been told you can trade this for this but not that for that. Last time I checked, I look at a trophy that has my name on it every morning from fantasy football. I might have an idea how to play. Point 3. Ron mentions feel someone should be able to benefit drastically because someone else feels their team is out of it, so I should sit here and be mediocre and not have a chance to rebuild next year. So Ron is taking all strategy out of this league, which brings me to my 4th point. Point 4. Ron decides what is a fair trade, and if someone benefits drastically. I did not know Ron's word about a fantasy player was the gospel. Maybe Ron should work Jamie Eisenberg on CBS. Listen, I am not even touching the part that he is in a playoff chase and has direct impact on trades with fellow members of playoffs. All I am saying is what Ron thinks is fair or unfair. I might not, or Miguel or Jeff or anyone might not. Running a league is hard work, and not everyone will be happy. I know for a fact Ron spent a lot of time setting this up so we can enjoy. I hope maybe moving forward we can restructure this rule.
There are millions of FF leagues. We're not the only ones that make trades. What are the other leagues doing? What does Yahoo suggest? Can we vote on the Yahoo standard?
To answer your question, John, the two most common ways for a trade to be reviewed are: give all owners the ability to veto a trade within 2 days of acceptance. In a 10-team league, 4 owners would have to vote to veto for the trade to be cancelled. Have the commissioner review all trades. Obviously there are strengths and weaknesses to both. I would be open to voting for a change on anything, but I find it troubling that I passed out rules to everyone a week before we drafted and no one said anything.
Thanks Ron. For me, at least, the rules make a lot more sense now that I see them in practice, but were not as clear when I read them before we started.
I can see how things are cleared up more now than they were before the season started. Anytime something is done differently than everyone is used to, it will take some adjusting. And again, I am open to changing something if that's what everyone else wants to do. I would prefer that someone brings it to my attention directly so that I can ask the rest of the league to vote on it. I'm not sure that a call for my head when one person is upset is the right way to handle things. Not to beat a dead horse, but I feel I have to clarify some things that were said about me. Sorry, Nick. The trade that Nick mentioned was not the trade that I said I would veto. If those were the full terms of the trade, I would have let it pass. My guess is that the other party involved would not have agreed to that trade, since it isn't filling his area of need. The trade did include Jimmy Graham and AJ Green, but Nick would have also been sending Shane Vereen and Ahmad Bradshaw in exchange for the elite running back, an aging running back who won't be playing anymore this season, and an aging receiver who currently isn't in the top 25. I see this as an even trade-off at running back, a big upgrade at receiver, and a big upgrade at tight end for the other party involved. I did not think was fair, as I felt Nick didn't care how many elite players he gave up as long as he got the one player he would like to keep for next year. To refresh what is in the rules, I will email the whole league when a trade is accepted, asking everyone to weigh in before I make my decision. I would have done this, but Nick asked what my opinion was on the trade before it was submitted. I am fully confident that I would have felt the same way about the trade if I were not in the playoff hunt, and that I wouldn't have been the only person that would have an issue with that trade being made. As far as the trade review rules, everyone should have been aware I would be reviewing every trade. It was made clear in the rules. Trades are indeed part of fantasy football, and so are measures to make sure no one is gaining an unfair advantage. Every league has some kind of measure for having trades reviewed. This is nothing new. As far as me being the ultimate authority, I never claimed to be the fantasy expert. As a matter of fact, one of the reasons I wanted to be the deciding force is so that someone's trade wouldn't get vetoed just because 4 other people don't like it. As far as my trades being reviewed, I thought the way I did it would be easiest and most fair for everyone. It would be too hard to keep track of whose turn it is if I rotated with only one person deciding. Also, it allows the 3 people to veto a trade of mine without having to be singled out and being the bad guy. I even put Nick in the first group so that it is apparent I am being fair. As far as taking strategy out of it, I don't feel I will be doing that either. I have no problem with someone improving next year by helping someone else fill a need for this year. However, it is not fair for someone to inherit a championship lineup from someone who doesn't care. I will not be convinced that I am wrong on that. I realize that there will be years when people think I am not being impartial, and there will be other years where people will have nothing to say because my team isn't in it. I guess it comes with the territory. But all I can ask is that you trust in my promise to be as fair and unbiased as possible. I hope that after you see this further detail, you will agree that I have done nothing to lose your trust. Ron.